Hey, Miguel Dorati back here on the CRP, and we've got the old team back together again. Chadlack joining me, and it's been a tumultuous month since the last time we got to talk. We caught up post uh, your second trip to Colombia with your son Soda Pop, and we talked a little bit about the effects of the second stem cell treatment he received, and then from there we've let some time pass, and obviously we've been able to I guess document and observe more benefits that we can attribute to the stem cells. So you've been through a lot this month, huh?
Okay, so let me start by apologizing to all of the people out there who have been waiting for me to come back on and talk more about stem cells. My father has cancer, and we're taking care of him, and so that's a situation in and of itself. And so we're kind of doubling up on what our things are. So my wife and I are completely swamped with an overwhelming healthcare need. In the United States, healthcare is so diminished and so embarrassingly bad that we should be ashamed of our country for what our healthcare actually exists as right now. So, having said that, let me get back to stem cells. So we had to wait and see what happened with a lot of the stem cells that are going on. So if you check my Facebook page, you can check it out, and you'll see that Soda Pop, my son Zane, had Botox treatments in his arm. So let me explain. His arm is twisted like this. It's not really like this, but I'm trying to get on camera. So it's like this. It's twisted inward, and that's called muscular spasticity.
Now, does he trap the thumb inside the hand?
Yes, the thumb goes inside the hand like that, and he does this. So what he will do is he'll dig his thumb into there, and he'll twist this backwards in this contortionistic way, where he will hold his hand like this and literally wrap his thumb all the way around his wrist. So his wrist literally turns completely over. That's how much pain he's in every day from traumatic brain injury. So having said that, the answer to spasticity in the United States of America, of course, is, well, we have to kill the cells. And so when people go in and they get Botox in their face, and you see these women in what's the show, that Housewives of whatever county, they have these flawless faces with no wrinkles, literally no wrinkles. No, when they smile, they don't even have smile lines. And they don't have smile lines because they've had Botox in their face so much that their face is paralyzed. Botox into the body does the same thing. Botox is a form of botulism. Botulism is a food poison. And so that's how most people recognize botulism. Botulism is actually an anesthetizer that freezes the nerve movements throughout. So a nerve movement is very much like an electrical system. If you don't complete the system, then nothing happens. So if there's a short, there could be a fire, but there could be nothing more. In my son's case, his brain is sending messages all the time from one damaged area and not shutting it down from the other damaged area. So what happens is his left arm goes in, his thumb goes over, and then it twists in like this. And he holds it like this all the time. So we have injected Botox into, not we, his doctor, his physiologist, has injected Botox into specific spots to retard the muscles to allow the fist to break free. And the reason that she has done that, again, after years of not doing it, because we had all kinds of problems with Botox, is because he suddenly started to have fingertip feeling. And so she could prick his fingers, and he had feeling suddenly. Now, what does that tell you, Miguel?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about maybe nearly a decade without feeling, and then feeling comes back after a second stem cell treatment. So, you know, I'm not sure that we've followed to the letter of the law the scientific method there, but that's pretty good proof in general layman's terms.
Yeah. So okay. So we understand that right now. So the next thing I want to say is this: with Botox, the hand now relaxes, and when the hand relaxes, then we do what's called serial casting, and we've done this 50 times before over the last decade. On his leg, on his hand, everywhere. The kid's been casted so many times that he doesn't even. It's just casting now. I mean, people don't even ask anymore. They sign his cast and they know that next week it's coming off and another one's going on. What his physiatrist said to us this time was, Zane, I am so happy that this went so easily because I dreaded this for a week. The reason she dreaded it was because before, when she had to pry his hand apart and put it into the cast, first of all, it never worked. Second of all, it was torture on him. And third of all, that's a week of his hand being bent in a place where it's very uncomfortable. So if you can imagine taking your head and spinning it like this as hard as you can for a week, that's what he felt for a week every time they casted him. He has no problems with this now. His cast doesn't bother him. He sat there. They went through every finger. They looped it around many, many times. And his cast is straight, and it's actually up like this now. So instead of his hand being like this, his hand is up like this now. Now, what does that say to us about what have stem cells done, right? I mean, that's really the big question. I mean, is it a matter of puberty? Is it a matter of he's getting older? Is it just that he's tougher and he can take it more? Have the nerves deadened? Well, we know the nerves haven't deadened because he now has fingertip feeling. So you can poke his fingertips, and as you do so, he has feeling in them. He has dexterity, so he can actually open and close his hand. It's very, very difficult, but he can do it. He's always been able to do this, but he's been like that. Now when you ask him to lift his hand, he goes like that. When you ask him to straighten his arm, he goes like this. And he straightens it. That is the difference in what stem cells have done for my son at 13 years of age, 10 years after his accident.
Now let me ask you this, because and that's emotional stuff, and again, like another little feather in the cap of the stem cell treatment. Another effect, and I noticed this. I think, but I noticed that a lot of people commented on it, and maybe it also has to do with puberty and maturation and things like that. But that and you've also been very open about the injury he suffered, where part of his skull, the head actually showed the trauma of the injury and stuff, and it's almost like for lack of a better word, like his head filled in, like I don't want to, that's not medically correct, I know, but he looks he looks like before, like it's harder to, like he looks more like a normal boy. Like I'm trying to not be, I don't want to say it, but the point is he obviously, with the 10 years in, you knew he was a handicap type of situation.
Okay. So let me answer it like this. This is my son this was my son before stem cell treatment when he was exhausted after 4 hours of therapy. This is my son now with 4 hours of therapy. They call that symmetrical eye contact. What happens is his facial expressions have become symmetrical because there's so much inflammation there that the brain feels that it's starting to fill in. Again, we're talking about a lattice, okay? And so stem cells don't happen with one treatment, and that harms people. And so, Miguel, can we get to the part where we talk about the questions that I get almost daily now on my Facebook page? Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I think that will help fill this in more than anything else, to be honest.
Okay, let me redirect you with the first one that comes to mind, though, and it is the same one. I'd like to have you talk about how the eye muscles have to work and how part of the coordination there is important. And so what that means to me is people are just bottom line. They're saying, hey, he looks different. He looks good. You know, he looks good. That's the kind of compliment that I've seen there. And this is tied into that. So take it away.
Okay. So intrathecal stem cell injections mean this. That means that they inject directly into the spinal fluid. And when they inject into the spinal fluid, stem cells travel through the spinal fluid. And as they travel up the spinal fluid, the first thing they hit is the occipital nerve. Well, it's not the first thing they hit, but one of the main things they hit in the brain is the occipital nerve, because your occipital, your eyes, occipital, your occipital lobe is right back here on the back of your head. It's on the back of your brain. That's why when you fall down backwards, you'll go blind. If you hit hard enough, you'll go blind permanently. You'll see fighters get punched. When they get punched, they fall back and they have a flash of blindness for 15, 30 seconds, 25 seconds, whatever. That's the occipital lobe, which is it's about that big around in reality. When the occipital lobe is damaged, it stops sending signals through the occipital lobe and vice versa. So the occipital lobe goes all the way through the spinal cord, through the occipital lobe, or the occipital nerve goes through the spinal cord, through the occipital nerve, or through the occipital lobe, and all the way into the eyes where it crosses over at midbrain. And when it crosses over at midbrain, so your right eye sees your left and your left eye sees your right. That's why if you get hit on the right side of your head, your left eye goes blind and vice versa. That's an evolutionary process we won't get into right now. But the point is that that's the very first thing you learn as a psychology student, is you learn about the occipital lobe and you learn about the crossing of the nerves in the eyes. You learn about the eyes. That's the first thing you learn about as a collegiate student in psychiatry. In psychology. So and that's never changed. Probably, I don't know if it ever will. But what happened was that once we started injecting stem cells into him, his eyes became focused and they became strictly focused on exactly what they were doing. And in so doing, people started to say, wow, he looks different. And they couldn't put their finger on it until somebody said, he's symmetric. He's symmetric. And that's an enormous difference. So the fact that his eyes are symmetric now means that they move at the same direction. So wherever they go, they follow at the same direction. Whereas before, they followed at different directions. And so that is because the eyes are the window to the soul, so to speak. Having had that experience and seeing that happen to him, which literally happened almost overnight. By the time we got home on our first treatment, we said there's something very different about his face. And we kept trying to say, oh, it's filled in here, or it's this, or it's a smile, or whatever it is. Which, by the way, when this first happened, you're going to see an enormous log of pictures and videos that BioAccelerator is going to show you when this is all said and done. And you're going to see the miraculous difference between where he was and where he is and where he is going. And we've just started. We've done 2 treatments. So
go ahead. Is there more follow-ups off of the Facebook page that you wanted to bring up as specific examples?
Yeah. So I probably get at least 5 questions a week now on Facebook page on my Messenger, because I tell people, ask me what you want to know. I don't work for anybody. I don't get anything out of this. I just want to let people know that stem cells are a viable product that you can go to, as long as you go to the right person, as long as you go to the right company, like BioAccelerator, that stem cells are the right place to go for you. So if you have a bad knee, a bad hip, a bad shoulder, a bad elbow, of course, get stem cells. I mean, that's a no-brainer. The problem is, in the United States, stem cells require extracting the stem cell from your bone marrow, from your own bone marrow. You can't use somebody else's stem cells, in other words. So they drill into your bone marrow, they put it in the centrifuge, spin it down, they put it in a growth product, which they're vastly regulated on for no reason at all. And when they put it in the stem cell, or when they put it in the growth product, the growth hormone, then they inject it back into you. I'm not going to share the names because it's not my business to do so, but there's a very famous person that tried it in the United States. And then there's another person that is my family member, my Aunt Marilyn, who just passed this summer. And she had stem cells and they didn't work, but she had them in the United States, and she had them through bone marrow process. Now, bone marrow process, when you're 5, will do a pretty good job. Bone marrow process when you're 55, forget it. You're going to get 60 to 80,000 stem cells, and then when you spin that down and you pull out mesenchymal stem cells, it's just not worth it. It helps. There are doctors in Las Vegas. There are doctors in Arizona. Of course, there's BioAccelerator, and it helps. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but if you're gonna spend the money to go to Medellin, contact David Truitt at BioAccelerator, and we'll go from there. That's the best way to go. I don't know any other way to say that without being dishonest, Miguel. I just don't know. I don't know how to say that without misleading people. I want people to understand that the United States is so far behind in stem cell therapy due to I don't want to get myself into a situation here.
Well, let me redirect the question a little bit here, because you mentioned, an older person who gets the stem cells from the bone marrow, you wind up with, 80,000 to 100,000 cells. I think that was the number you threw out there. Like, what's Soda getting hit with in Colombia?
Okay, so Soda gets 30 million hits per injection, and then 50 million hits intrathecally. And intrathecal means through the spinal cord. So
you're talking about hundreds of times the amount.
10 times the amount. Hundreds of times the hundreds of times the amount ultimately, yes.
Okay. All right.
Which is maddening.
Hey, and if my rudimentary understanding of building a lattice, that's like trying to build a house. It's like, all right, 7 bricks.
You got it.
All right. Well, now what? I think I understand.
You don't put the trusses on before you build the foundation, right?
Right. No, I understand that, and I guess but it just seems like if you're going to do it 80,000 stem cells at a time, and other people are experimenting and getting, good results, with, a lot more. It's almost like the old vitamin C idea of like, how to fight a cough off, you
Right.
just bombard yourself with, 50,000 milligrams or whatever. But, so when are you going back to Colombia? What is the next trip for Soda? Because obviously exciting news. And how's Soda taking it in terms of, it's obviously a 13 now. I guess every single day alive, right, is a pivotal day but he's going through puberty and things like that. Talk a little bit about all of that and seeing how that's been impacted.
Okay, so let me give you the bad news. The bad news is it's expensive. It's time costly. It takes a week. And you have to travel, so you have to have your passport. In order to get your passport in the United States now, you have to go and get, or at least in the Midwest, you have to go and get a little star on your license plate or on your license card. So you have to go through all of that minutia in order to do it. So don't think that you're going to do this in 2 weeks. Okay. Then there's the process of regression. So some of the things that we gained, we lost. And we couldn't understand that at first. But then here's the good news. We gained it back. And not only did we gain it back, we gained back tenfold what we had before. And they told us that. They said you should expect much, much more this time than you did the last time. And we expected nothing last time. We didn't even know if it would work the first time we did it. The second time we did it, we knew it would work. And so we had these huge expectations. And those expectations kind of bottomed out for us a little bit. Now, let me explain why that happened. We changed everything around for him. We had to change his diet, his nutrition, his school, his therapists. All of these things changed. His doctor stayed the same. So we have the same monitoring. So, for example, a DEXA scan is a scan of a person's skeletal bone mass. And his bone mass is dramatically up from what it was before. And there's no other way to explain it. They said, well, he has more testosterone now, and that could be doing it. And then we said, have you ever seen anyone have this much bone mass density growth within such a short period of time? And their answer at the hospital at Riley in Indianapolis was, no, we can't explain this. And we hadn't told them that we'd done stem cell treatment yet. So when we told them that, they became fascinated with it. His neurologist, when we went to her, Dr. McGuire looked at him, and the moment she walked in the room, she said, I can't believe that I'm looking at the same child I saw 2 months ago. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. She talks with Soda's physiatrist, who has been with him since he was in a coma 9.5 years ago. And she is beside herself. She didn't want us to do this. She said, I can't recommend this. I disagree with it. You're going to a place you have no idea about. And for whatever that's worth, we did background checks. We did everything we could do because there are a lot of frauds out there. So I have to tell people that the only place that I personally know that you can go to is you can talk to David Truitt, and he can put you into the system of BioAccelerator. You can go on the BioAccelerator page on Facebook. You can go on bioaccelerator.com, whatever you want to do. This is the BioAccelerator X-Men shirt. You can look up Matt Hughes BioAccelerator, Ken Shamrock BioAccelerator, all the wrestlers bioaccelerator, all of that stuff. You can look all of that stuff up, and what you're going to find is every single one of them have said, I cannot believe the difference. I had knee replacements. I had shoulder replacements. It just, the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Why are we, Miguel, in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world? Why is our medical system so defunct that we can't study stem cells here?
I guess we're too busy on, pumping money and, influence into the pharmaceutical end, which, I think is, a conversation for a different time. Yeah, this has been great catching up with you about the stem cells and Soda Pop as we, we're now maybe closer to him going back than the last time he went. We're a couple months into his return, and it's great to hear about the recovery and stuff. Obviously, our prayers go out to your dad, as well as you're facing, 2 generations of medical situations there that, both deserve a little love and support. So my hats off to you, my friend. You're a little bit of a hero yourself there for all you're going through. And with the kid, you got to do that anyway. So we will definitely catch up. Hopefully we will get you and Matt Hughes together with Soda Pop in Medellin come December.
Yeah. Hey, Miguel, I wanted to mention one more thing to you. I've been receiving a lot of messages from Central and South America, and you've been helping me with answering those people and trying to, you kind of call me and say, okay, so what's the answer to this? And I kind of give you the answer, and then you interpret it for me. As somebody who's an American, who's also bilingual from birth, because your father was a Spaniard. And I really appreciate that. And I think that's very, very important, because what we're starting to see now is we're starting to see stem cells spread out throughout the world. BioAccelerator is going to be a globally recognized company, because Medellin, Colombia is the treatment place for stem cell treatment. And so because of that, making sure that we have people that are bilingual in Spanish and English and other languages is extremely important. And although I'm not a part of the company, I do want to thank you for helping us help others, because there have been several informations or messages that I've gotten that I don't know how to extrapolate the information in Spanish to make it make sense, and you've done that for me. So I appreciate that from you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and I hope to do more in the future.
We'll see you again very soon.
Yes, sir. Everybody hit like and subscribe, please. The YouTube channel is out there, Cage Rage Podcast, and a myriad of subjects. The subject today, stem cells and the recovery of Cadillac and Soda Pop. A great story. You can follow it at the CRP.
Namaste.